Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings.
And ourselves.
We stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love,
and listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this shining world. Heroes among us in every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find
even with a mobile device. We'll be talking about it all every Thursday night, from software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin' IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam, with the tutorials and tips on how much RAM. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking We're talking IT. We're talking IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
Yes, indeed. Once again, on a Thursday.
Yeah, I got to get that shh motion that Ange got.
Got to be ready for it.
Yeah, she got it down.
She does. Well practiced. So how's everything going today?
Good. We're about to cover something that for like the last couple of weeks I have seen creep back in. Something that I get asked about like constantly all the time, but in the last couple of weeks it has almost been a constant every night, because with all these waggers, a lot of them have been upgrading their gear,
Right.
getting ready for the wag. They're upgrading their interfaces. They're getting plugged in. They're wanting to jam on the Zoom and running into the typical problems that you would run into when you first plug in a new audio interface and you're trying to get that ASIO music over to Zoom. It it it's a little bit of a challenge getting a new interface set up.
Definitely. And that's where, seeing some of the different interfaces, seeing how to troubleshoot, seeing the process is important. So that's why we'll look at some of that.
Yeah, and in some cases, understanding the differences between standard audio when it comes to like Windows versus audio driven audio, where that's where you start to get into things like Wasapi and ASO, and we're going to be talking about some of these driver standards for audio tonight, so that we can understand a little more about why the audio doesn't always port over to Zoom smoothly.
And some of the things you can do about it.
Yeah. Well, there are things you can do about it. That's sometimes the toughest thing to explain, because I'll get this user who does try some things and can't get it to work, and eventually throws their arms up and says, it doesn't work, it's impossible. And it's not that it's impossible, it's that it sometimes gets complicated to get it to work. When you are dealing with professional audio equipment and Windows, you will start to deal with different audio settings than you normally would.
As a test one of these days, a slightly tangent topic here, we should ask one of the AIs about, like going into a troubleshooting scenario like that, like start presenting an AI with a troubleshooting scenario and see what kinds of steps it suggests.
I'm actually curious, because that kind of leads into like the first couple. Let's go to the IT cave. I'll show you.
Nice.
Ooh, flip me around.
There you go.
There we go. And the the first couple really are more troubleshooting centric. The very first one is going to be coming from Audio University, channel we have gotten very familiar with when we need to explain certain things.
Yep.
He's a good go-to guy, great explanation, straightforward. And to start, we're just going to take a quick look at audio interface setup for beginners. Like, and I like his because he's using a Focusrite, and a very common one,
Right.
something that a lot of these guys that have been upgrading are also using.
Sure.
So it's very relevant to their interfaces and what they're doing. And you know, he just covers like the basic things that you need to do to get the interface up and running.
Okay. Very
And
cool.
then we're going to have some freshy channels because this is kind of a new topic for us. So some of these channels are new. And the Tech Baka, uh,
Right.
with this one, it, it gives four possible things that could help when you first plug that audio interface in. And a lot of times you might get a little bit of crackling, popping, weird noises that you don't want to have in your music. And in some cases, you just don't want to have it all. It's annoying.
Right.
And this one has four suggestions that are really good to know, especially with Windows, whether it's Windows 10 or 11. There's slight differences with the sound settings in Windows 11, but for the most part, everything they talk about here is relevant to both.
Nice.
And I brought this one in because sound speeds, he takes a different approach to troubleshooting this kind of problem, one that actually I would do. Like, you know, when you're troubleshooting and you, the best way to troubleshoot is to isolate. Isolate
Yep.
as much as you can to narrow in on where potential problems are happening.
Isolate and simplify. Yep.
Yes, and I liked his suggestion, so I wanted it included as a complement to those four suggestions because this would probably be the approach I would take if I was dealing with that situation where in his case, he's moving from one machine to another. He's
Right.
taking all his audio hardware and porting it over to the new machine. So he already knows like the hardware works, and he's already had it set up in one.
Right.
And when he moves it to the new one, runs into this problem and takes a very creative approach to isolating where the problem is.
Nice.
And then after we kind of sort out the troubleshooting and you know how to deal with those clicks and pops and get everything smoothed out, uh, we need to talk about ASO.
Yep.
That is the one where when I've got these new musicians who are just getting audio gear for the first time and getting it set up in their DAWs, on the Windows side, if you don't understand what ASO is, and you're trying to make music with your computer, you're missing a key ingredient in setting up your audio.
Understanding the importance for sure. The understanding of, you know, the difference between the modes and when you need to use each for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and that one's going to be coming from Zane over at Audio Tech TV, another one that become a go-to for me when I need to explain these complicated things in the
Yeah.
easiest way.
Absolutely.
And then once we do understand ASO, the big problem that we've been tackling the last couple of weeks with all these WAG musicians who want to get their instruments into the Zoom from their DAWs, which are in ASO mode, routing ASO to get it to work in something else. Because the one thing you're going to learn with ASO is it's exclusive.
Yep.
When your DAW is in ASO mode, that sound card can't be shared with other programs. So in order to get that audio out of that DAW into other programs, we need to learn about some of these options. And um, I'm familiar with all of these. I've tried actually a couple of them in other variations, but here they're going to talk about ASIO for all, one of the most common ones, but also one of the biggest culprits of problems, especially with setup. Um, ASIO Pro Link, that's a new one for me. So I'm curious to see how that and ASIO for all compare with each other. And the last one is BB Audio Matrix.
Right.
And the VB cables, we are familiar with that. We
Right.
actually
Right.
covered that on another night. Um, uh, Looks like they now have this new program tied to the VB cables called Audio Matrix. So haven't gotten to check that out yet. So that's a nice way to see where VB cables is going because that's one of the better choices.
For sure.
Yeah, and Eric Taylor is going to be giving us that one freshy.
Nice.
And to just kind of piggyback off of those choices, one that you turned me on to, and I'm glad you did because um, it's actually useful even if you don't need to do fancy routing. Just for like managing, your situation and some of the others where like you've got audio coming from a game, you've got Zoom going, you want to be able to actually mix your different audio signals or route them to different headphones or speakers.
Yep.
And Trumpet
Ear
is
trumpet. Yep.
ear trumpet is one of these hidden gems on the Windows side. Microsoft actually makes it, but yet they don't include it out of the box with Windows, and they really should because their mixer is extremely limited.
Yeah.
This
And ear trumpet
it,
is very, very straightforward. Yeah.
yeah, this is the mixer that they should have had in Windows all along.
Yeah. Agreed.
And
And I was
that's when
saying before even that it seems like Windows has gotten better over time with how it deals with the audio routing, but still it's still clunky and it's still a source of issues.
and ironically, with Windows 11, it's actually getting more confusing because there's a Windows API now in Windows 11 that deals with the sound differently than it did with 10. So when it comes to grabbing audio from applications and controlling them, 11 does it a little differently than 10.
Right.
That one's going to be coming from Tech Tutor Plus.
Nice.
And the last one is kind of just a nice feature after we've learned all of this. White Sea Studios. I've actually been to this channel with my regular YouTube and visit him for a couple of different videos, but it's his debut on Talkin Shhh I.T. And I think this is a nice complement to all of it. Uh, he's going to talk about the DAW and the idea that like DAWs can sound different,
right?
Even if you're doing the same thing using the same tracks, and it kind of started with a discussion that he was watching where the guy was like, Pro Tools is leaps and bounds better than Logic and sounds so much better.
Right.
And it got him thinking, like it would me, like, what do you
Does it?
mean? Pro Tools sounds better than Logic. If I'm playing the same things on both, they should not sound any different.
Right.
What makes a DAW sound different is the user, and he goes in it with the same curiosity I have. Like, is there really a difference? And he's going to test it to see if different DAWs actually do sound different with apples and apples.
And for me, that's the question: is if it's apples and apples, but if you do the difference of you're using each DAW's built-in channel strip, for example. So, the reverb you're using and different aspects of the sound, the EQ, You might not be using the exact same VST in each DAW, but you're using the built-in what they have and seeing how the differences are there, or the built-in mastering, things like that, like using some aspects of the DAW to see how they affect the overall output sound.
Yeah, what I'm curious is at its simplest in his tests,
Mhm.
if we're talking stems
Mhm.
and
Yep.
no effects being done on either side of the DAWs, these are
Right.
just raw stems, there should be no difference
Mhm.
there. Once
Mhm.
you start implementing mixing where you're utilizing different plugins because different DAWs might have different EQs and approaches,
Sure.
there's a potential for some differences. But if you were to use the same plugins,
Mhm.
same settings on both,
Right.
it, is there and should there be a difference?
Right. And that's, again, the question to me also comes down to, are both DAWs set to the exact same output settings? Because there's, differing configurations of what you're going to get in an output file from somewhere.
Yeah. And we are like scientists. We like control subjects
Yes.
and things to actually be apples and apples.
That's right.
No offense, Windows.
And starting simple, starting at the simplest test and then building the test from there and saying, okay, like we saw that this is the same, so now let's build up from there to one level and see, what's next.
Yeah, yeah. So he's going to be doing that kind of testing, which I feel is a nice complement to the troubleshooting tests that we're going to talk about in the beginning here.
Very good.
But before we get into troubleshooting, we got to plug our gear in and we have to get it working and make sure that it's functioning in the operating system. And uh, a lot of this is going to be more for the Windows users, not because well, more people are on it, but a lot of these things, setup and troubleshooting that we're going to be talking about in these first few videos, they're not an issue on the Mac side.
Right.
And I know I'm always like, I'm a Windows guy, but we've had this discussion on multiple nights. Mac does have an advantage in the audio world because they don't deal with ASIO. They don't deal with um, device configurations in the same way. And like Mac users who are happy say, it just works.
Yeah. And that's the aspect that you mentioned at one point, going on stage with a keyboard and a laptop. And in that situation, like, I think also, even with me being a PC guy like you are, I think I would still take a Mac and at that time, because I don't want to troubleshoot a PC on stage.
Yep.
for any reason.
If I did have to bring a laptop on stage, I would totally like spend the extra money and go with a Mac for that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you there. Yeah, like we talked about that once before, and I was like, well, I don't know. And the whole, seeing other people who've done it before, like most of the people that I see come on stage with a keyboard and a laptop, they do have, it's a little, MacBook Air on a little, little platform off to the side. It's out of the way. It's never a problem. It's just, it works, like you said.
Yeah,
as long as it's charged and or plugged in, you're good.
And the Airs, like when you get these nice super thin, I mean, they are great, like for just mobile, out of the way and ready to go.
Yeah.
The only thing with the Airs, it's a little flimsy. Being on the stage, I'd be scared that like I'm gonna break that thing.
I'd be scared about like tucking it in the laptop or in the case with the keyboard. Like I wouldn't do that. Like I would want to keep it separate and keep it protected and all that. But knowing how to take care of a laptop is no problem. And knowing that the Macs, at least, they seem to have a very sleek style where it's not a lot of, there's no clunky parts hanging off and things. It's very streamlined. It's very, slides into the case and you're done, and, slides out, you're good. Yeah. Anyway, the main idea is that it's very reliable, and, you take it out and it just works. And that seems to be the selling point. I haven't, not like I've seen a lot of PC crashes on stage, but I really wouldn't want to take that chance personally.
Well, you don't see a lot of PCs on stage. That's probably why.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to go visit Audio University at Audio University on YouTube. Fantastic channel. descriptions, instructions, and uh, um, explanations more than anything else
Mhm.
on everything to do with audio. I mean, I've gone to him to have cables explained.
Mhm.
In this case, setting up the interface. And he probably does cover like the different modes with
Mhm.
SAPI, ASO.
Yep.
I'm sure that's right in his ballpark too.
Wasabi.
Don't be an ASO.
Can't help it.
Yeah. So he's going to show us audio interface setup for beginners, a four-step process, things that you should do when you get a new interface. And even though he's going to be using a Focusrite, this applies to any standard like USB audio interface.
And as you mentioned, Focusrite is one of the ones that we see very commonly with the people that we work with.
Yeah, it is the most common one.
Mhm.
It's the one I tend to recommend,
Mhm.
especially to singers.
Mhm. Yep.
It's good for guitars too, especially when you get the like two or the fours, because the preamps work just as nice with the guitars as they do with the vocals. And with these new fourth gens, they really have gotten it down.
The real question comes down to me would be: are you jamming with people in the space that you're going to be putting this thing, or not? Like, if it's going to be just you, the two is perfect because you get the vocal and you get an instrument, and then you're fine. You're not going to be doing more than that yourself. If you're going to have people over and you want to do a whole jam session, now you're getting into something a little bit more complicated when you get to the wiring of all that. So
Yeah, and in those cases, I wouldn't likely recommend an audio interface. I'd recommend a USB mixer.
Right.
It's a lot more flexible for that situation.
So it comes down to the use case for it. Like, this is more, you're going to be in your room by yourself with, vocal and an instrument at most, that kind of thing.
Yep. So let's get this audio interface plugged in and going.
Sure.
No matter which audio interface you're using, there are 4 basic steps you'll need to take in order to set it up. In this video, I'm going to cut right to the chase and show you how to set up your audio interface for recording, streaming, or video conferencing. The first step is to connect your audio interface to your computer. This will usually be done with either a USB or a Thunderbolt cable. Before going any further, it's a good idea to test the connection. To test your interface with a Windows PC, click the speaker icon in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and select your interface as the output device. To test the connection on a Mac, go to System Preferences, click Sound, and select your interface as the output device. If you don't see your interface listed, search Google for any drivers needed for your interface. This can be easily done by typing the name of your interface followed by drivers in the search bar. After installing the necessary drivers, you should see your interface in the list in the audio options. In order to hear sound, you're going to need either a pair of speakers or a pair of headphones. Setting up headphones is easy. Most interfaces have a 1/4-inch TRS headphone jack for headphones. If you're using headphones with a 3.5mm or 1/8 inch plug, you can use one of these adapters, which I'll provide a link to in the description of the video. Most audio interfaces have left and right 1/4-inch TRS or XLR outputs for connecting to studio monitors. You'll need to connect the left output to the left speaker and the right output to the right speaker. 1/4-inch TRS and XLR are essentially the same thing, just a different shape. So if your interface and studio monitors both have 1/4-inch TRS connectors, great. You can use a 1/4-inch TRS cable to connect them. If you need an adapter from XLR to 1/4-inch TRS or the other way around, you can find a link to that adapter in the description below. It's okay to connect your interface to your speakers with a 1/4-inch TS instrument cable if that's all you've got, but it will be an unbalanced connection, which might lead to some unwanted noise. Don't worry too much because it's not a big problem at short distances. Now let's connect a microphone to the audio interface. You'll need to use one of the mic level inputs on your interface. Line level or instrument level inputs won't work. Usually XLR and combo inputs like these are mic level inputs, while 1/4-inch inputs like these are line level inputs that can't amplify microphone signals. You're probably using either a dynamic microphone that doesn't require an external power supply or a condenser microphone which does require one. If you're using a condenser mic, you'll want to turn on phantom power by pressing the +48 button on your interface. This will supply 48 volts of direct current to the microphone. This is the preamp knob, and it controls the input level of the signal. You can get a rough level using the meters on your audio interface. Just aim for a healthy level without causing the input meter to turn red. If your audio interface doesn't have meters, I'll show you a better method for this later on in the video. Now, let's configure your recording, streaming, or video conferencing software to use your audio interface as the audio input and output device. Feel free to use the shortcuts I've provided in the description below to skip to the correct section, depending on which kind of software you're using. If you're using a DAW recording software like Audacity, Reaper, FL Studio, or Pro Tools, the steps will be pretty much the same. In Reaper, click Options and then Preferences. Then go to the Device tab under Audio and select your interface as the input and output device. The next step will be to create a new track. You need to set the input of the new track to one of the physical inputs on your interface. I'm going to choose input 1. In most DAWs, when the track is armed to record, you'll see input levels from the microphone. Adjust the preamp knob on your interface until the peaks of the signal are at about -18 to -12 dB full scale on the meter within your software. The last thing you want to do is allow the signal to reach 0 dB full scale because you'll start to hear the sound of clipping. Now you're ready to record. If you're using your interface for a video call in Microsoft Teams or Zoom, you'll need to set up the software so that it uses the microphone and speakers connected to your interface rather than the speaker and microphone built into your computer. This is very simple in most software. In Microsoft Teams, I'll click the 3 dots next to my name in the top right corner and click Settings. Then I'll go to Devices, and at the top I see a section for audio devices. For speaker, I'll select my interface, and for microphone, I'll select my interface. In Zoom, the process is very similar. In the top right-hand corner, there's a gear icon to access settings. It'll open a new window. I'll click the Audio tab, and at the top I can select my interface as the system speaker, and just below that I can select my interface as the system microphone. I can even see levels here as I speak into the microphone. The process for setting up your audio interface for streaming varies a little bit depending on the software you're using. Setting up your YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch stream is very similar to setting up a video conferencing app. I get the option to change my camera and audio settings just before going live. On the other hand, setting up a streaming software like OBS is more similar to setting up a DAW. Click the plus button under Sources and select Audio Input Capture. Then select your interface in the pop-up window. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and watch the next video to learn more about getting the most out of your audio interface. I'll see you there.
I find it very helpful.
Oh yeah, always helpful. And especially, the diagrams showing, which things you plug in where, showing the levels, showing the meter flashing green before going red, all of that. All of that's very helpful, especially if people have not used the interfaces before, because too many times they get that to red, and it stays red because that's what they think they should be doing.
Well, and I like that he kind of reminds for the new user to an audio interface, when you're first bringing up a DAW and you're setting your inputs to like this device, arming, like hitting the record icon so that the track is armed, shows you your levels. Right. Some beginners, when they first plug it in, they think that they're going to see these things like automatically, and they make this assumption like, my interface isn't working, I'm not getting any signal. When a track is not armed, it's not going to show those meters until you do.
and you got to have it. And in some cases, if you're plugged into the headphones, for example, you'd also need to have the local monitoring active in some cases. Like if you're still not hearing it, people don't realize they have to activate local monitoring for the channel. So that
even if you're seeing the meters on the screen, if you probably won't hear them in your headphones until you turn on the monitoring button as well, and then you will see and hear the actual effect.
So little tricks, little things that can stop people right at that last step where they've got everything physically connected, they got things turned on, they've got the signal, they can see it, but they just don't hear it. That's got to be so frustrating to get to that spot and get stuck essentially.
Yeah, and when you are using it, say for a messenger or like Zoom, when he showed, the Zoom audio settings, something we're very familiar with. A lot of users, when it comes to the Zoom speaker and the Zoom microphone, they go with the same as system option. And
instead
the
of
same,
directly specifying.
Yeah, if you don't specify exactly which audio device you want to use in Zoom, and it depends on Windows, then you have to make sure that you're using the audio device that you want in Windows first in order for Zoom to piggyback off of it. But it's not a great approach because Windows sometimes will USB devices, when you unplug them, Windows will switch to something else. And if Zoom is defaulting to Windows, then oops, I forgot to turn on my USB interface when I first got in Zoom. Well, if you go turn it on afterwards, that doesn't mean Zoom's going to change or Windows is going to change to it just because you powered it on. So don't use same as system. Specify the interface you want to use, and you avoid that potential problem.
See, I would also go to the step of, if it's still not working at that point and it's set to the right one, I would go to step of setting it to something else and then setting it back. Because to me, even though it doesn't change anything technically, changing it and changing it back sounds like you're just setting it back to what it was, but you're resetting it and you're resaving the settings. So sometimes it is something as simple as that can make it start working.
Sometimes it does take a kick in order to get something to actually turn on.
Right. It's like, I know the spot to check to make sure it's this one, and it's this one, so why aren't you working? And it goes, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, here. And it starts working.
So thank you at Audio University for helping us to get our audio gear plugged in and turned on.
Absolutely.
Now, after you plug it in, if all of a sudden you're getting buzzing or clicking, popping, all those anomalies we've heard of, what's the best approach that you can take to get rid of it? And when you go Googling for things like this, you're going to hear all sorts of different suggestions. Try this, try that. And it can get confusing and intimidating. If you're not typically a troubleshooter, if you're not, say, technically inclined, jumping into Windows settings and things like that, just going out to Google and doing whatever the first page tells you to do may sometimes confuse you more and sometimes cause more problems than it solves.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find some suggestions that were pretty straightforward. And when it comes to a Windows machine, these are good things to try first. Before you go down the Google rabbit hole.
And again, the main focuses or main overarching principle being simplify and start from the ground up. If you can start from if it's like a pedal board not working with a guitar player, for example, a guitar player steps on stage, plugs in, his amp's on, his guitar's going, his volume's up, but you don't hear anything. What's the problem? You start looking through the pedal board, and the first step, you simplify. You go from the guitar with that cable right to the amp. Boom. Do you hear that? Okay. Now go through the first pedal. Try that. And you go one by one, add to the pedals until you get to where it stops working. And by the time you put it all back together, it all works. So there was a connection somewhere in there that was just a little bit off.
Yeah.
So
and
sometimes that's all it needs.
if you happen to hear a buzz in that situation, it's usually a cable or electrical bleed through.
Yeah, and there's actually like not a humbucker, but there's like a little plug you can get to plug into the back of, or you plug your amp into this little box that plugs into the wall, and it can kill a cycle hum like that if there is one coming from power. But you also have to be careful how you connect power on a stage, like everyone being on the same circuit and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, especially if you're like with pedals, if you got those like fat wall wart plugs and they're right next to like things that are conducting audio. A lot of times the hum's coming from things like that, unconditioned power.
Now, they did mention this one, the connector that has the TRS, tip ring sleeve. So it has the extra line in there. Whereas, and this is from an 1/8 inch adapter. You'd use this for the headphones, like these headphones here. Going down to an 1/8 inch, which is plugged into the computer right now, but I can unplug them, plug them into this, and then use this into an audio interface or into my mixer, for example. But those are good to have and good to keep around so that you have them when you need them.
Yeah. His mention of adapters, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a couple of all of those adapters, 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch, XLR to 1/4 inch. They're cheap, and if you get a couple of them and you don't need them, better to have them in a drawer than to have to run to the store.
Yeah. I mean, I had a whole like little bag of different adapters, some barrel connectors even, so that if you had to go, you were trying to stretch something a 1/4 inch cable from here to there, and you were like, we're like 8 feet short. You could put this little barrel connector on the end and connect another cable and continue. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go very far beyond the end of a cable, but at the same time, if it can just get you that extra little bit, in those situations, it can be just what you need.
And he did mention that when it comes to shorter cables, it's not a big deal. You don't tend to deal with as much audio anomalies, but longer cables offer more potential for problems, multiple types of problems, not just noise, but oops, I accidentally crinkled it with my chair. And
that's one where I killed so many different sets of headphones by rolling over the headphone cable with a chair. But like this one has the spiral line, so it's harder to roll over it. It still can, but I have a harder, it's harder to roll over, so that's good. So it's harder to damage it. But the shielding can also be the issue, though.
Yeah, things to consider when you are buying the gear and where you're going to put it and how much do you need. You don't want more than you need, but shop wisely.
That's right. And the shielding is one of those things where, like you'll get a lot of interference if you're trying to use, for example, an 1/8 inch to those red and white RCA adapters to like power something. Those are notorious for getting a lot of interference because they're just, they're not shielded at all. And anything going by there is just going to be a problem.
Yep. In the old days, they were usually the culprit.
Or now it's also the iPhone cable. Like somebody is using an iPhone cable, 1/8 inch, 1/8 inch, whatever. It's usually not well shielded and it's just a problem.
Oh my God, I got so many flimsy little 1/8 inch cables. That came with everything. Yay, they're free.
They're free and they suck.
Yeah.
That's why they're free.
So to deal with these sound anomalies, when we do plug an interface in, I went to Tech Bakhal for these 4 tips. They are straightforward. Try these things first before you go tearing everything apart and reinstalling Windows in some cases.
Getting drastic.
Yeah. So this one's coming from at Tech Bakhal, freshie for us, and to fix the buzzing sound in any laptop, Windows 11 or 10. Now, this isn't just a laptop problem. I've seen the same issues on desktops too, especially depending where they're located around the desk and things like that. But it is very common on the laptop side. So I think that's why he kind of like focused more on that side. You hear about it all the time.
For sure. It's important stuff.
let's see what that first solution is, because that's usually the one that might fix it.
Nice. Let's try.
Hey, laptop users! Tired of that annoying buzzing sound on your Windows 11 device? We've got the fix! Stick around as we dive into quick solutions to silence the buzz. Search for Control Panel in your Windows search bar. Click on Control Panel to open it up. Navigate to Hardware and Sound, and click on it. Within Sound, click on Microphone. Click on Properties for your microphone. Now click on Listen, and uncheck the box. Hit OK and OK again to apply the changes. If the solution doesn't work, it's time to move on. Follow the next solution. Search for Control Panel in your Windows search bar. Click on Control Panel to open it up. Navigate to Hardware and Sound, and click on it. Repeat the process for your speakers in the sound settings. Click on Properties, then Enhancement, and check the box. Apply the changes by clicking OK and OK again. If the solution doesn't work, it's time to move on. Follow the next solution. Right-click on the Windows Start icon. Select Device Manager. Double-click on Sound, Video, and Game Controllers. Right-click on your sound driver and choose Update Driver. Opt for Search Automatically for Drivers and click Close. Right-click on your sound driver and choose Update Driver. Opt for Browse My Computer for drivers. Let me pick from a list. Select the appropriate driver, click Next, and then Yes. Hit Close. If the solution doesn't work, it's time to move on. Follow the next solution. Right-click on the Windows Start icon and select Device Manager. Double-click on Sound, Video, and Game Controllers. Right-click on your sound driver and choose Uninstall Device. Confirm the uninstallation by clicking Uninstall. Finally, right-click on the Windows Start icon and restart your PC. Thanks for watching. Hope the tutorial helped you, so subscribe and like, please.
Rebootify. That's one thing I do too rarely. I mean, some people never reboot. Some people always shut down, and that's not a problem. Or that's a problem too. But you know, I tend to only reboot or shut down every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, and as far as these tips go, the first two are the ones that I felt were especially important to emphasize, because if you are like, if your mic or your input is set
Yep.
to listen, of course it's going to add artifacts and weird things because it's looping. You're technically monitoring something that you should
You're
already
feeding
be
room noise in.
hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the second option when it comes to uh, uh, the enhanced effects that especially with Windows 11 now, and these new Realtek, if you are using your built-in audio cards and not necessarily like a Focusrite or a USB interface, some people like those enhanced effects. You know, they're watching a movie on their laptop or something and they appreciate all of that. But if you're using that as a music machine,
Yeah.
turn them all off. None of them are going to help you to make music, and they're going to give you
False
false
references. That's the important
references
thing.
to
Yeah.
things that aren't going to be
Yeah.
part of your sound. They just happen to sound that way
And then
on
you
that
hear it coming through another
machine.
speaker somewhere, and you're like, it didn't sound like that when I mixed it. I mean, there can be a drastic difference on different sets of speakers as well, the way you mix things. But yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. One thing to extend off of those tips, if you do have like, if you are using the built-in sound card or one of the, the Realtek drivers
Yep.
especially, um, they tend to come with their own management
Right.
software as well. And if you do see something in your system tray that hints towards something else is also managing the audio and possibly adding enhanced effects or control, you also want to go check there and make sure that like something isn't turned on that could be causing these
Yeah,
buzzes
the buzzing
and
at one point,
noise.
like if you ever were in, a Zoom, for, like you were talking about before, a Zoom or some kind of a conference call, and your mic sounded too low because it's using the laptop mic from the screen in front of you, and you're sitting back here, so people can't hear you. So they walk you through turning something up, and one of the things you would turn up is they would walk you through going into the enhancements and enhancing the audio on the microphone. But then if you try to do audio stuff, for recording, like you said, all of a sudden you're getting a buzz because you have that so boosted that it's very delicate or getting way too much room noise along with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With the headset mics and sometimes the laptop ones, Windows by default ends up putting a
Yep.
boost in the microphone. If you go look at those sound settings and you go to the microphone, sometimes you'll find that it's boosting it 10%, 20%, 30%. It actually has a little slider. And if it defaults and jacks your mic up, then you might be too much. And you really need to test it to see where the
Yeah.
sweet
And
spot
each
is
app can
there.
have, has its own settings or its own defaults where, most of the time I'm talking through this mic. So anytime I'm doing anything on my computer, it should be this mic. If I'm recording something, it would be coming through this mic. But I go into Discord and all of a sudden it grabbed my webcam mic. So like I was sitting over there and the webcam's, 10 feet away and pointing a different direction. And I'm having a conversation and people are like, you sound far away. And it's like, wait, and then go look at the settings and it's like, yeah, well, that makes sense because that is far away.
We have a whole episode from one night where Restream changed my mic to the
Nice.
laptop mic. I'm watching the whole episode. I'm like, damn, I'm quiet as hell. That's not what my headset
And at one
sounds
point you
like.
probably like you turn your head and it gets really loud and you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? And you're like, oh, it's that mic.
Yeah, well, I I didn't know
Right.
during the episode because
Yeah.
I don't hear myself, and it wasn't until after when I checked it, and I'm like, son of a bitch, I am set to the
Yep.
wrong
Yep.
mic.
But that's where you realize though.
Yeah. So those were some good starter tips for, if you do have this experience, especially on the laptop side, it's much more common. Um, these are the initial things to try. The uninstalling the driver and or checking to see if it's up to date, and if that doesn't work, uninstalling it and forcing Windows to just kind of flush it. It could help. It's not as likely that it will because Microsoft will put what it thinks is the most updated driver when it comes to these built-in sound cards and things like that. But if you are dealing with a Focusrite or an audio interface, the first video when it came to setting up, go to the manufacturer's website, go to your model page, look to see what the updated driver is, and if there's any control or command software. In the case of Focusrite, there is. They put the latest version along with their control center in the same piece of software. Get that, because chances are you're not getting the full functionality of your device till you get that control center software installed.
Yeah, and it's good to use that.
You might have the latest driver, but you can't
Yeah,
use it yet.
And I also would do the uninstall as kind of a last resort, but I do get that if you're already at that step, if you've already done each of those other steps, you have already exhausted what would normally fix most of the things. And some of the things like, if there was a bad spot on a hard drive, these are things that used to happen more in the past, but a bad spot on the hard drive causes a problem in the file, in that actual driver file, so that it's reading the driver, but while it was in memory, there was a problem with the hard drive. You could see that kind of thing happening in the old days. So I could see that needing to flush and reinstall the driver fresh, and then it gets to a good spot and it's fine. But that shouldn't happen this time.
Well, yeah, and that whole like uninstall and force it to reinstall is kind of like flipping the input source just to kick it. Like, sometimes a kick,
and it is a full restart in there. So you are, completely cycling the machine and everything else. So there's, everything is getting reset. So if there was something that just wasn't letting go of whatever, this is kind of getting around that.
Yeah. Now, that was at Tech Backal, Freshie channel for us. If none of that works, and you're still dealing with this issue, I included this one because it's a different approach to troubleshooting, and it's much more in the vein of like how I like to troubleshoot. Eliminate anything that I can and narrow in on what I have to. That way we can really get to the real problem without causing other problems sometimes, just to find the culprit. And another Freshie channel for us, it's at Sound Speeds. Sound advice from a pro sound guy. All right.
Sound
That's
guys,
the kind of channel I like.
Good stuff.
And for this one, he ran into this problem, and Windows 10 in his case here, crackling and popping audio. That's what I hear the biggest complaint of, more than the buzzing. The solutions we looked at in the last one tend to be more to deal with the buzzing problem. But when you get crackling and popping, especially in your audio software and things like that, it may not be as simple as turning off enhanced features or turning off the monitoring on the speaker. And his approach here will help you to narrow in on where the problem may be, and it might not be in the device you think it is.
Some problems look like they're somewhere else, but they're not.
Yeah. Well, there's one way to find out.
Sound speeds. And since you clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you're in the same boat as I was until a few days ago, and I figured out an easy trick inside of Windows 10 that allowed me to completely eliminate the popping and crinkling audio that I was experiencing inside of my brand new editing PC. Let's waste no time and get right into it, but first it has to be said, yes, all the equipment that I'm using is fully functional. It works. I literally unplugged the USB cable out of the old computer and plugged it into the new one. But just to cover all of my bases, I did try 4 different USB cables. And yes, I did try every USB port on the new computer, all 13 of them. Same thing. I installed all the proper drivers and Windows is fully updated with no conflicts. So I went online to see what fixes I could find and I found the same list over and over again. Update the drivers on your audio device? Nothing to see here. Check your minimum processor state. It's maxed out on a badass PC. Spatial sound is off. Turn off enhancements? What enhancements? Change your audio format to 16-bit 44.1K. You gotta be kidding me. In short, I tried everything that I found in every article and video online that made sense, including installing multiple third-party latency monitoring software, which revealed that I should have no issues. So what finally worked? Well, I started by identifying all of my audio and video peripheral devices. Easy, just a Sound Devices Mix Pre 6 handling my audio and a Feel World Live Pro L1 handling my video. Next, I opened up Device Manager and clicked the greater than symbol next to sound, video, and game controllers. There are many devices in there, but I simply right-clicked on each one of them and chose Disable Device on everything except for the 2 devices that I know that I use. I restarted the computer and then went through every single software that uses either one or both of my audio and video devices to verify that it works the same as it always has. And guess what? No popping and crinkling audio. If any program on my computer no longer worked with my audio or video device, then I would have simply verified the settings were correct, and if they were, re-enabled each device one at a time to see at what point the program would start working again. If it still didn't work after going through all of them, then I might have to enable 2 devices and see if I can make it work. And then if I went through all combinations of that and it still didn't work, then maybe 3, and then maybe 4, then after that, then maybe you're just doomed and you have to have everything on and deal with popping and crinkling audio. Hopefully that's not the case though. But disabling all but those 2 devices worked for me, which is why I made this video. So hopefully this trick worked for you like it did me, and I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences down in the comments. Thank you for tuning into this episode of SoundSpeeds. Be sure to tune in the future for more tips and tricks that will help keep you sane despite Microsoft's best attempt to make it crazy, and as always, sound advice. Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below, or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.
Sound advice.
Oh, I'm going to be loving that channel. Did I tell you, when it comes to troubleshooting, this is the kind of guy I would like to be working on machines with. Get to the crux of the problem. I mean, granted, testing the 13 USB ports, he
Go
did,
the extra mile. Yeah.
he did. Yeah. He did a little bit of, trial and error there just to make sure it wasn't something
For me,
like that.
front ports
And
versus back ports, USB 2 versus USB 3, like, checking things like that, but not every single one. But that's just,
and usually if it's going to be something like a USB port, it's more likely on an old machine where a USB port wears out. Whereas you've got a brand new machine. I'm hoping that all my USB ports work on a new machine, but it's not a bad idea to actually give them the test to make sure that you didn't get one of those boxes that got off the assembly line before it was
I
fully
mean, some
baked.
of the tower cases have USB ports on the top and the back and the front, and it's like, those all have connections to the motherboard, different, in some way, but were they all connected is the question.
What, and that's a good point. Like if you're plugging in something like an audio device, I'd be testing the back ones, the ones directly on the motherboard, before I'd be trying to get them to work with the front ports, because those do have to go through cables to the motherboard,
and it should make no difference.
There is no potential for problems.
It should make no difference. But I'm with you. I also would use those because
speed wise, it should make no difference, but problematic.
You're trying to eliminate that internal cable going from there to the ports, in the front. Exactly. So one less thing, in the mix. But it's good to test on both, because if it doesn't work down there and it does work up here, then it could be, the motherboard, ports are disabled or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And when you look at the devices that he did have under sound, because there are a bunch of them on my music machines, 12 to 15 in any one of them. And some of them, like those streaming,
Oh yeah. Yep.
streaming virtual mic, streaming virtual speaker, the
Mhm.
NVIDIA ones, when you're not using that hardware or you don't need that virtual audio device, which as he was
Mhm.
disabling them all and focusing just on his audio equipment and his video equipment, what he
Mhm.
needed to run, turning those off and getting rid of that problem, then you got to figure out whether you
Mhm.
need
Yeah.
those on at all. Those streaming ones, most people probably aren't using those. And until you do something and it doesn't work and you realize that you need that to be on, better to turn it on when you need it than to have it
Mhm.
on
Yep.
when you don't.
Exactly. But, again, when he went through and tested all the applications on his machine that use the audio or video drivers, that was also key as far as, disabling the things, keeping the two enabled that he's really interested in, and then making sure that those all worked. And then if he was going to re-enable them, he would go from there. But, most of them just left them off until he's done with the recording to make sure that he doesn't have the clicking, popping, and then re-enable them to do other things. Because again, you don't need your streaming stuff, like you said, when you're trying to record. You want it later when you're going to be streaming about the recording. So
Yeah.
you got to know when to re-enable the things.
Yeah, of all those devices, I suspected it was either the virtual audio devices or the NVIDIA one.
Mhm.
NVIDIA, they do make awesome drivers, but because like they're constantly pumping out these updates, and most people think NVIDIA and they think it's all video.
Right.
It's not. Like these NVIDIA drivers are controlling things in the audio as much as they are the video these days.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you aren't utilizing NVIDIA for audio features, turning it off might be a good idea because that could be where his culprit was.
Yeah. And in some of these games, they do use spatial audio enhancements because you need to be crawling down over here and you need to hear if something's happening in this ear or if it's happening in that ear. You need to be able to find something in the game based on that. So they do have audio drivers that are trying to spatialize in headphones and be able to localize on a particular sound.
But I don't want any of that going when I'm in the middle of recording.
Exactly. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a great speed advice, and logical troubleshooting. Like
Yeah.
this is the approach I would take when I don't really know where the problem is, but I know what I need to get running.
Yep. And again, like I was saying with the guitar, with a guitarist that's not working, start by simplifying, guitar to the amp. Does it work? Okay. Start adding pieces back in from there and see how you do. We had one the other day where it was his power supply for the pedal board. And there were two pedals that were trying to run power that were having a problem. So I was like, okay, well, here, 2 9 volts, boom, boom, throw them in. He's good. Go.
Yeah. And hopefully it's not like that bassist, with the like 19 pedals.
that would be a serious problem if he had a pedal power issue. No, I can't step in and fix that. I do have one of the Boss 9-volt power supplies, just standard pedal power that I have with me. That's just in case. But I usually have that for the DI box that I have in the car, the Sans amp that we talked about before, the Tech 21 Sans amp, because that I could use for the bass, and I could use that pedal power for it, or I can use a 9-volt battery for it, or I can even take phantom power from a board and not use any power, so that I'm not introducing any new power to the situation.
Yeah. Pedal power. It's like Scooby-Doo's little puppy power.
Scooby-Doo.
So that was at Sound Speeds, Freshy channel with solid advice.
Yeah, good stuff.
And speaking of channels with solid advice, Audio Tech TV, we have visited here for a couple of different themes, and I needed a good explanation of ASIO and why it's important for musicians who want to set up their computers. You need to understand it. You need to know where it plays into your software, because if you don't understand it, you're going to be confused. You're going to try to make things work that like Zoom, and well, I can get it to work in my DAW, but I can't get it over to Zoom. Um, First, you got to understand what it is, why it is, and how it takes exclusive access of hardware, locks it, and says, this hardware is mine. Once you do understand it, you can start to work with it.
Yep. And the exclusivity is the important fact for sure of the whole thing there. And some of the tools that you were talking about before that have a way around that, basically just kind of steal the audio from there and mimic it elsewhere, essentially.
Yeah. And some people, they'll go over to Wasapi because you can share audio device in Wasapi shared mode.
Right.
However, if you're going to go and use Wasapi exclusive, you're going to have the same problem that you would typically have with ASIO because it wants exclusive access to the device. And it doesn't have the 0 millisecond latency that ASIO does. So getting to know your different options when you're setting up your audio device for your DAW, understand that ASIO is your target for a music machine. Wasapi is a secondary choice that will introduce latency regardless of whether it's shared or exclusive.
Yep. And again, it's, some people have just extremely bad habits about how they handle a music machine. Like they use it as their main machine and they'll have, a browser open with 50 tabs while they're trying to record something, as well as have something else going while a TV show is going in the background in another tab. It's sometimes people go crazy with that kind of thing. And you really can't do that when we're talking about,
you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. And if you do run into problems while you're trying to use your DAW and you got a bunch of other things going, then do like that troubleshooting approach and get rid of whatever you're not running, don't need, and actually test your DAW in the simplest of environments first. It works good there. Then you can start pushing your machine to see how much does it take before it falls apart.
Yep. And again, just even trying to do something in a DAW while you're trying to stream about doing something in a DAW, that, introduces those whole issues. So, you're dealing with all of that stuff at that point.
And there are situations where you're gonna actually need to run some of the guys that we've been setting this stuff up with, they want to stream while they jam. They want to be able to stream while they're recording so that they can show what they're doing. You're going to want to get it to work with all of that together if you want to do things like that.
Yep.
So at Audio Tech TV is going to give us a nice quick explainer on what is ASIO and do I need it?
Nice.
And no matter what he says, the answer is yes.
You do.
That is the conclusion. No spoilers, though.
Small spoiler.
ASIO, audio stream input/output. So that's what it stands for, but what does it do and should you get it? Well, that all depends. And in this video, I'm going to look at reasons why you might want to get it, reasons why you might not want to get it. And if your audio interface doesn't have its own ASIO driver, I'll tell you how you can get one for it. Now, first, let's look at a reason why you might not want to get ASIO on your system. It's if you're a Mac user. If you're a Mac user, you don't need ASIO and it's not even available to you. And that's because you have a far superior audio system called Core Audio. So be super happy about that. But if you're a Windows user and you want to get into music production, ASIO is pretty much a must-have, in my opinion anyway. And here's one reason why. Your latency will be much lower, and if you plan on recording to a click track, a drum beat, or any other instrument, you should really get ASIO so you can time whatever you're playing or singing along with whatever's playing back on your computer. And that's because ASIO bypasses many layers of the Windows Direct Sound API, which all of your audio is routed through on a Windows system. And if that's not enough reason to get ASIO, then consider this. If you have an audio interface that has more than 2 inputs and you want to access those extra inputs, then you'll need ASIO so you can access more than just input 1 and 2. Now coming up, I have another reason why you might want to get ASIO, but first I want to look at another reason why you wouldn't want to get it. If you're primarily recording into the Audacity software and you haven't compiled the code yourself to add the ASIO capabilities, then you won't really be able to use ASIO anyway, as the Audacity that you download from their website and the one that pretty much everybody uses doesn't have ASIO capabilities built into it. Even though Audacity can use it, they just don't have the license to use it yet. So if you use Audacity and it's just the one directly from their website, ASIO may not be for you. However, I have heard from many people who have installed the ASIO driver for their audio interface and still use Audacity to record, and they say the recording quality is much better after installing the ASIO driver, even though Audacity doesn't use it. That may be true, it may not be true, but it is something that I've heard from several people. Now here's another reason why you might want to use ASIO. It gives you the direct output. If you use the Windows Direct Sound, you're actually getting a compressed version of the output signal, but with ASIO, you're getting the complete full output of your audio directly to your audio interface. It's not compressed or anything like that. So there's another pro for using ASIO. Now let's look at how you can get ASIO for your audio interface, even if your audio interface doesn't have its own driver for it. You can use ASIO for All, and this is an emulated ASIO driver, and it allows you to even route audio in different ways. So you could have multiple audio interfaces, multiple USB mics, and outputting to an audio interface or to a sound card. You can really route audio however you want, and you get access to the ASIO standard that's going to bypass those layers of Windows Direct Sound. So using ASIO for All is better than not using an ASIO driver at all for music production. Now check out how to install and set up ASIO for All by clicking the video on the screen. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. For Audio Tech TV, I'm Zane. Keep creating, and we'll talk soon.
Yep.
Oh, did I tell you straightforward?
Right to it.
The nitty and the gritty. That was
Why you want it and why you don't.
Yeah, that was Zane over at Audio Tech TV, and really good points there. First, if you do have an interface that is ASIO compatible, which like the Focusrites, all the good audio gear will be. My Rolands, they all have their own ASIO drivers, and those are almost 99.9% of the time going to be better ASIO choices than using ASIO for All. ASIO
But if you
for
can't
All,
find the driver for yours specifically, or like you said, if it's hardware that doesn't have one that you can find from a manufacturer, then that's a good option to try.
yeah, if you are stuck using your built-in sound card on your machine, whether it's an NVIDIA or a Realtek, those aren't ASIO ready. ASIO for All allows you to use them in a way that the DAW can see as ASIO compatible. However, because they're not
native,
yeah, you're not going to get that 0 millisecond latency that ASIO promises you. Like, a good piece of hardware that's in ASIO mode, you should have no latency. That was the purpose of this driver setup in the first place, was to go straight from your guitar directly to your interface without having to go through the Windows Direct Sound layer, because it's that Windows Direct Sound layer that creates that latency.
Yep.
And like he said, adds compression. What you're hearing here is not necessarily what's getting recorded and what you're hearing post, and ASIO goes directly to it. What you hear is what you get.
Yep. That used to be what you see is what you get. The WYSIWYG.
Yeah. Well, with a music machine, you can see why we're like really trying to emphasize tonight. Like, your music machine wants to be in this mode. Your DAW, when you're looking at the driver options for your audio card, and you see Wasapi and ASIO, if you're making a music machine, you don't want to go with Wasapi unless you have to.
Yep. In those circumstances that we talked about. Yep.
Yeah. If you want a simple way to share like the audio that's on your system over to Zoom, like you go to share screen, you click the share sound button, and you want what you're doing to be able to be heard in Zoom, Wasapi is a path of least resistance. You can just be in that mode in your DAW and get that sound over to Zoom. You're not going to be hearing instant, like if you're actually playing or doing something like that and you're monitoring what's going to the Zoom, there is a slight delay and it could screw you up. But
it can be really annoying if you're playing something fast, like it sounds off and it can really throw you off.
Yeah. And to make it even more complicated when you're in Zoom, if you don't actually turn off the Zoom compression, sometimes Zoom will listen to your audio and be like, that's noise. Compress it. And now we got
and somebody's like, hey,
things.
how about this new song I'm doing? And you hear nothing except like little scratchy sounds for like a minute and a half. You're like, we can't hear any of that.
Yeah. Oh, we've been through so much with Zoom over these last 6 years.
Yep. It happens, but again, can't necessarily fault it all completely there. Again, settings got to be right. Understanding placement of microphones is important. Some people never mute their mics and they have it so that, it's just constantly coming in from the room. So like if somebody else is trying to play, their mic will be taking priority because, Zoom might be seeing the guitar playing as noise, but it sees the noise from that room as what they're trying to say because it's like a TV in the background somewhere that it's picking up on and saying, oh, that's the speaker.
I a lot of times I wish that I had a recording that like I could just stop everybody and say, I want you to hear what you sound like in the Zoom to everybody else so you understand that TV is louder than you right now.
Or if I had to think of chips right now, and it's like, and somebody's trying to play, and it's like, oh man,
those better be Doritos.
Well, it was a paper receipt, so it was all acting. That's all.
So thank you, Zane, for explaining ASIO in the simplest way that I think you can, and giving the pluses and the not necessarily negatives, but the side effects of dealing with it,
or the situations that you wouldn't want to use. That makes sense too. Because like it's also saying that it's not the answer to everything. Like it's not always going to be ASIO that you want, because when this happens and when that happens, you don't want to use it. So.
Well, and if you do end up using ASIO for all, which comes with a lot of DAWs these days, Cakewalk is putting it on. I had to remove it on my music machine last month because somewheres in the last year, one of the Cakewalk updates put it on my system, told Cakewalk to route my Roland through ASIO for all, and I couldn't get directly to my Roland anymore in my device options. I had to remove it and reinstall my Roland drivers to get back to normal. And when you are using ASIO for all with ASIO compatible hardware, your mileage may vary. My Roland doesn't work good through ASIO for all. It works better natively.
Right. And again, I think the them including the ASIO for all is just to get past the ones that would be missing the driver that they need. And if it is causing problems with certain pieces of high-end hardware, then they know that you have access to the drivers from the manufacturer to be able to get the new drivers that you need.
And like he mentioned that with direct sound, you only have channel 1 and 2. So a- ASIO for all does give you the nice option of, whoa, I got more than one audio device. I can actually route multiple audio devices with it. I don't know if that would be my first choice though, because I've had so many different experiences with ASIO for all that I don't think I would use it to consolidate multiple audio devices. There's better choices out there, and that actually leads us to the next video. Um, 3 ways to aggregate audio on Windows: ASIO for all, which we've been introduced to, ASIO Pro Link, and VB Audio Matrix. And Eric Taylor is the one who's going to be showing these to us at Bone Ricci, RICI. And it's not easy to find good videos on YouTube about some of these things. You really got to hunt, and not just to find videos on which ones work and which ones don't. Getting them set up is even trickier. When we did cover the VB cables about a year ago, I had been trying for years to get VB cables to work the way I wanted to on different machines, never getting it perfectly to work till I found the one good tutorial out there. And there really is only one good one out there that actually goes step by step and explains all the things you have to configure because you're routing digital audio. And you have to start to wrap your head around this audio that's coming from here has to go into here and then through an auxiliary and then back out to something else. It gets complicated even for the expert techs.
Yeah. And like the digital routing is something that we do all the time with the board. Like when we have recordings, like if I'm recording somebody's keyboard part, they're plugged into port 10. So we have it recording on 10, but then we want to have another layer on top of that where that was like a rhythm track. And now we want to do a lead track over top. Well, I'm not going to record it on 10 again. And I don't want to move the one that's on 10. So I'll just route his channel 10 to channel 11 or channel 12 or whatever. And I'll just route it to that channel, and just that way we can start recording again right away. And we're in a different channel and I can set it up completely differently, different EQ, all that stuff. So.
And it's ironic that it's actually easier to route when you're in the digital domain, but it's harder to wrap your head around it.
It's easy to get lost, for sure. It's easy to get lost when you start doing all that, because all of a sudden, like, no, I'm moving the fader on 11. Why is it changing the keyboard? Oh, because I routed it over from 10, right?
Yeah, I can understand it when I visually and manually am pulling a plug and moving it, and when I'm physically doing it, it does make sense. When I'm doing it digitally, it gets confusing.
Yeah. And I did like the look of that one, the one app way back that had, it showed the back of the rack and all the wiring, and you could actually see the cables going from this one to that one.
Rewire. They did it great, but for the faint at heart, it was like, oh my God.
And to me, it was just perfect because it's good to get the people who were stuck in the, analog realm, because that's they're used to. I want to be able to see the cables and do the routing and this and that. And now it looked exactly like what they were expecting. So they could, make the transition more easily.
Yeah. At that time, going from analog to digital, it was the perfect bridge. So I'm curious to see this ASIO Pro Link and VB Audio Matrix. These two are new to me. I haven't had a chance to really go check them out. The VB Audio Matrix, I am familiar with the VB cables, Potato, Banana, and any other one that he's come out with. I've tried them all, but Matrix, definitely going to have to go back and check that one out.
Nice.
So let's see. 3 ways to move ASIO over to Zoom.
All right.
Hi guys, so today we're going to be...
Let's see the 3 different ways that you can aggregate audio on Windows. First way is ASIO for All, and this is a delightful little website. Go to this, so many ads. Download it, and let's install it. Next, 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 install, close. Let's see if it is in here now. Hardware. All right, now to use this, you click on this button. That allows you to select more than one of the at once. So yeah, this has to be open. And now you can select 2 at once. And that's it. It's supposed to aggregate. And it's not working. And I'm getting a red exclamation mark. So screw this. ASIO for All sucks. It's just giving me red exclamation mark. What am I supposed to do? All right. Don't use that. That's terrible. ASIO Link Pro. All right. Bring this up. And this button sucks. That kicks all your other audio off. And what you do is you click Start. And you get to pick a driver. Okay, that's fine. Let's pick the this one. So I have 2. I have Audio Box and Focusrite. Let's pick that one. And then you start a second ASIO Link Pro. And on the second one, these 2 are linked. You start it. Now on the first one, you send the output to the network. There it goes. And on this one, the second one, you pick the driver. The driver's not working. Well, you're supposed to pick the driver and click network in, but this doesn't allow you to use 2 ASIO drivers at once. Oh my God. Okay. Second way doesn't work. It might have worked in 2.2, but in the latest version, which is what you want, it does not work and it sucks. Deleted. VB Audio Matrix. That's what it is. No, it's VB. VB Audio Matrix. This is my last hope. Yeah, you got to try this one. So download this guy right here. And let's see how you work. VB Audio Matrix. So you control click on these things to turn them on. This is my audio box. This is my Focusrite. And then you select it. So these get linked on. And you control click down here, either the 8IO version or the 16. And you click up the matrix. And you just make a diagonal. So this goes to this one. 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 And then this output is linked here and here. So just make a diagonal for the outputs and the inputs. And does it work? ASIO. VB matrix. Yes, it works. Okay, that's what you use. That's it. Let me get this guy out of here because I hear an echo. I'll turn it off temporarily. So the answer to all the questions is there are many ways you can aggregate audio devices on Windows, just like you can on a Mac. But the only one that works is this one right here. And it works perfectly. So download this, set it up, and you're done.
I'm liking that new interface on those VB cables. That is much cleaner than the potato and
Yeah, for sure. And you did mention that, with some of the other ones there, you might need a reboot after setting them up in order to get them active.
yeah. With ASIO for all, unless I rebooted, I couldn't get it to function properly.
Yeah. So it might be that all those methods work, but you might just need a reboot and little tweak before the next round.
But given the way each one of them sets up, the Matrix one totally intuitive. I understand how that's configuring. If I do want to get a bunch of devices all aggregating that way, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. And the
And
diagonal line, that's important because it's an easy visual thing to see. Like you just look in there and there's the ins, there's the outs, and you're good.
yeah, I'm glad that they're going with this kind of configuration approach because the original VB cables approach is very convoluted. Like it's powerful. Don't get me wrong. Potato is an amazing digital mixer when you get it set up right, but you do have to like go through it with a fine tooth comb to get it configured properly.
Sure. And that's the thing is I always
You
find a
just
challenge like that. I like a challenge like that, but at the same time, I also do something that is streamlined and easy to use, like that last setup was. So.
Yeah. And there are a few other options that weren't mentioned there. Mavi's playing around with RIA plugs, the free plugins for Reaper. One of the plugins that they have is a network streamer. And there's a lot of potential with this plugin. Gonna be testing that. He's playing with it now, and if it works good with him, that's something that I'm going to start testing to see if I can get my multiple music machines working over the network here and sending tracks so I can actually be mixing on one machine while I'm bouncing tracks and doing other things on the other one and pushing.
Nice.
Or even better, pushing your audio over the internet or taking that ASIO audio from your DAW, sending it to your system so that like you can tell Zoom, hey, go get it here.
Get it and bring it here.
So those are some easier ways than we used to have to do. That Matrix, very promising looking. That was worth the price of admission, Eric.
Perfect.
Yeah, at Bone Ricci over on YouTube.
All right.
Oh, I got a mosquito.
Oh, did he get you?
Nope, I got him. Now, an alternate approach, and one that is useful for this kind of routing, but also just useful in all around as a more advanced Windows mixer is Ear Trumpet.
I'm a fan.
You're the one who turned me on to it, and it's kind of become a necessity in order to be able to control all the different audio I have going on these machines these days.
Yeah. And even just, sometimes it was annoying. Like if I was trying to watch a video on one side and there's a Zoom conversation going on, but the video is way too loud or whatever, like you can bring one up, bring the other down, you can get things balanced out in a very easy and straightforward way.
Yeah, you can tame the Zoom beast.
Yes, I can. I can tame it down to like 2%. I can still hear what everyone's saying, but it's not interfering.
Well, and I can turn off that TV that's playing in the background.
Yes, I can. Without having to log off the Zoom.
Yep. So this one's coming almost full freshies tonight. Half the list at Tech Tutor Plus 1092 over on YouTube. And surprisingly, there's not a lot of ear trumpet videos out there. Like I went and hunted, and this was the choice. Use two different audio outputs at the same time, and easy.
Nice.
Emphasize on easy.
Easy's good.
which is what we've been talking about here, aggregating multiple devices. If you were on a Mac, this wouldn't none of this would be necessary because Mac again has an advantage there. They have a built-in aggregator in their audio devices. So you can take all your audio devices, create a new virtual device that is all the different ones with all the inputs and outputs, and now you have a super aggregate.
Yep. And I remember that was one of the things we used to hear a lot was, rebuild the aggregate, the two Motus, rebuild the aggregate.
Yeah, and on all those people boasting on the Mac side, yes, you do occasionally have to rebuild your aggregates. It's not a perfect world, but they do have a much easier time. Here we have to use third-party software to accomplish the same thing.
Yep. But accomplish the same thing, we can.
Yes. And this is an app that, like, anybody out there who wants better control of all the different sounds that programs play and things, you want a better Windows mixer. It's free. Microsoft makes it. You just gotta go to the store and get it.
Yep. And for me, I mean, once it was configured and then once I have things set the way they need to be, it's just out of the way. Like I don't see it. I don't have to worry about it. It's not intrusive. I mean, it's just another icon down there that I can hit anytime I want to adjust things very specifically.
Yep. These are the apps we like the most.
Yes, very much so.
All right. Blow that trumpet, Glenn.
I will. Ear trumpet.
Hi guys, so today we're going to be showing you an app that I actually find very, very useful. It's for controlling sound and sound outputs on your PC, so you can have a specific program playing on a specific speaker. And this app is actually designed by Microsoft, so it's perfectly safe to use on your computer. Alright, so let's first just go over to the search bar and we'll type in store. We'll go to the Microsoft Store. And while we wait for that to load up, I'll tell you a little bit. The app is called Ear Trumpet. So what you need to do is search for Ear Trumpet. I see that it's already loaded there. And we're just going to click Install. And once this app is installed, you'll see that it comes up with a window that shows you how to use the app, what it sort of looks like. And as soon as it's busy downloading, there we go. So now we'll just click the open to open up the app. And this asks for you to possibly send some crash data to Microsoft. I personally love this app, so I'm going to definitely support that. And one of the other things that it does is obviously the app will be showing up either down here or in this window here. And the first thing that I do with this app, just to distinguish it from the normal speakers, obviously this is where you would select which speakers you're going to be using as your main output, that sort of thing. And this is standard with Windows. With this, it looks so similar, but with this, I can control audio for different programs. And what I do to define the two is I would actually right-click on the Ear Trumpet app. From there, I go to Settings, and I click on the General tab. And then I go to Legacy Settings, and I actually turn on the Ear Trumpet icon. Now, as you can see, it's defined and looks different. And let's just demonstrate how this app works. So let's say that we've got some music playing in the background, and I've just got some royalty-free music here, and we've got some music playing. So here you can actually control how much output the app gives, and let's say that I have, or my friend is being annoying and I need to reduce the volume of Discord because maybe his mic is broken. Or the other way, and I need to reduce the music I'm listening to, but I want to talk to my friend, and I can do it all from this little tab right here. One other thing that I find helpful is, let's say that I've got another speaker connected to my computer, and I want to show somebody this music I'm listening to. So what I would do there is I right click the program that I'm using to play the music, and I move it over to another speaker that I have. And now it's playing on another speaker that I have, and you can see it right there. And that's it, guys. So it's a great program for actually switching outputs, changing which audio works where, and everything like that. And I personally feel that this is a lot better than some of the other options that you get out there. And the other thing is, you know, it's made by Microsoft. So I think it's a great solution for you if you're looking for this sort of thing. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I really would appreciate a like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.
Yep. Somebody else has a loud TV.
And I like that explanation. So proof, subscribe.
Bam. Just like that.
You are now part of the IT feed.
Exactly. The wall.
Tech tutorials. I mean, it's kind of in. It's a given.
Yeah. Now, one thing that's interesting is I had not ever sent things to two separate outputs at the same time, although I can see the reason too. Like, you know, at the same, like in that same scenario, if there's something with a TV that's broken or whatever, I could just take the sound from, you know, whatever. I could either turn it to 0, or I could just set it to a different speaker. Like I could send it to the, you know, through the HDMI to the TV, and the TV volume's off, so I wouldn't hear it, but it's just going somewhere else. So it's not interfering with whatever I have going on.
Yeah.
Like
and you can route specifically from one app to the other. You can send the output of one program to another program, and it is like virtual patch baying. Is like, I want this audio from Cakewalk to go over to Zoom.
Right. And again, then we come back to the question of, you know, latency. We're talking about trying to play along live to things. I mean, that's where we start running into those questions as far as that goes.
I wouldn't use that for, say, playing live stuff. But if I want to show you, hey, I'm working on a song and I want you to hear the song, I don't need to be live to do that.
Right. Exactly. Yep. It has its purposes. And again, it's a very straightforward program. It's very much out of the way when you're not thinking about it, and when you want it, it's right there. So useful.
Fortunately, you're not going to be sending a lot of crash reports to Microsoft because it doesn't crash.
It does what it does, and it does it well.
Yeah, I haven't run into a single problem with it yet.
Yep.
So thank you at Tech Tutor Plus 1092.
Right.
An important honorable mention in our aggregates here.
Yep. Absolutely.
And now a channel I have been following myself for a while, at White Sea Studios. I think that's the at too. Yep, at White Sea Studio. And his curiosity here, like I have the same curiosity. And like I said, he started by watching this one video where this guy was talking about how Pro Tools is better than Logic and it sounds better. And got the fireworks going in his head and mine as well about like, well, does it really do DAWs sound better than other DAWs? Is that a thing? And can we test it?
And is it apples to apples? Yeah.
And I like his testing mentality and the fact that he wants to really see this, because a lot of people just make assumptions, or they get advice and they go with that advice without ever fact checking that, like, this DAW really does sound better than that DAW.
Yeah. It's important.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like outrageous, but at the same time, if it turns out that there is a difference, I wouldn't be shocked. I would just want to know why. Like, why do these apples taste better than those apples?
Exactly. They grew from the same seeds.
Well, let's see if apples and apples, especially in Windows, do sound different.
I got completely bombarded with messages on Instagram, all linking me to this video. This is a video from Mix with the Masters, and it's about the difference in sonic character between Logic and Pro Tools.
Pro Tools sounds better, and I think Logic has a soft sound to it. Whatever the mix bus is, how it's soft clipping, just kind of a roundness, which actually could sound nice. It could be really cool for like a deep house record, something like thuddy and like puffy kind of thing. But Pro Tools has this kind of console-ish hardness to it that so many records that we know and love are finished in it for a reason. I tend to not like the sound of Logic personally. I think it's a great software to produce in.
I'm already a little bit confused by this video actually, because I don't know if he's just talking about the soft clipping or, I mean soft clipping in a DAW, or about the sound in general. I don't know that.
But when I take those same stems diligently exported by someone that knows what they're doing.
That's a weird statement, because he's not explaining what that means. Like, what does that mean?
And same thing from Ableton. I just think that they wind up having more headroom in some sort of way.
I don't really know what he's trying to say in this video, but what I do know is that I want to test if there is any difference between the basic sound of these different DAWs. So let's get started. So honestly, this is a thing that I've wanted to test for a long time, because I do suspect that there is a difference. Let's just say that I do suspect that, but I'm gonna do my best to prove myself wrong, because I don't want there to be a difference. It would make life a lot easier if there wouldn't be a difference, but I do suspect there is a difference. Now, one of the things that could be going on here is that in, earlier versions of, for instance, Pro Tools and Logic and Reaper, we're gonna put Reaper in here as well, there was different engineering. Like right now, everything is 32-bit, 64-bit, float, whatever, like huge headrooms, very precise calculations. But back in the days, it could have been different. However, we're gonna test today's versions because that makes the most sense. Now, the first test that I want to do is a summing test. So let's get Pro Tools here. So I have a 4-channel mix. It's actually Sandstorm by the root. Now, one of the things that's happening with these stems is they are too loud. As you can see here on this master bus, it's clipping. And what I want to do is I want to lower the volume here equally on all these different faders. And let's go for -12. Let's see if that doesn't clip. That's perfect. Nice level in here. Actually, the internal stems do clip a little bit. I want to test that as well, but not right now. So let's also clip gain these down a little bit, so that our input level is also good here. Like that. Here we go. So no clipping at all happening in Pro Tools. Now, and what we're gonna do in our export, we're gonna call this summing test Pro Tools summing test. And I'm gonna do a 32-bit file and a 24-bit file. Reason why is because we are delivering to a lower bit rate. Like Spotify, I think, is 16 or 24-bit. Nothing in end consumer devices really is 32-bit. And honestly, I don't really think there's a reason why it should be. But please prove me wrong. Now let's do the same in Logic. I gotta check how can I... So I think the easiest way for me for now is to just put in 1.8 decibels, because that's what I was doing in Pro Tools. Yeah, -1.8. And I'm doing that here, -1.8 as well. And then put all these faders on -12. We were doing -12. Let's do -12. So there we go. Now let's bounce this as well. The whole project to PCM. So let's do a 32-bit float of this one as well. Interleaved file, no dithering, because dithering noise is random and that will make a difference in the null test that we are going to do, because we are going to be null testing this. 32-bit bounce, here we go. There we go. Now, Reaper, same thing here. -1.8, -12 on the faders. Yeah, here we go. And now, let's just import these over here. Blah, blah, blah. Let's mute this all. Let's make a little group here. And I'm already seeing something interesting. I think logic was normalizing. Let's check if we forgot a parameter here. Normalize on. Oh, let's redo the logic ones. Okay, so let's put the 32-bit files on top here first. Let's mute the rest. And let's first shoot out a logic against Pro Tools in a null test. Here we go. Now it is very much silent here now, but it's actually not. If I look at my meters on my output, I do see some signal. Let's see if I can amplify this for all of you. Here we go. This is the difference. Some ticks and clicks and crackles. Now let's see if we get the same thing if we shoot out Reaper against Logic. We get more difference. Oh, that's interesting. Is everything correctly aligned? Let's first check that. If we really see a... Yeah, we really see an aligned waveform. That's really... Then, is everything leveled the same? Let's see if we can... Yeah. Again, there are a million reasons why something doesn't null. We do like 0.1 of this. That's louder. -1. No. So, there is a difference between Logic and Reaper already. Let's see if there's a difference between Pro Tools and Reaper. Yeah. And the difference is almost the same because there's almost no difference between Logic and Pro Tools. Now let's see if the same is going on with 24-bit files. We have exactly the same thing going on in the 24-bit files. Yeah, exactly the same. The next thing that I want to try now is what is happening if our DAWs are soft clipping. I'm going to put all my faders back to 0 again. Here we go. Everything back to 0. Like that. And now we're going to bounce a soft clip test because this whole track is already clipping. By default, let's again do a 24-bit and a 32-bit. We're not going to do sample rate conversion. That's something for a different discussion, I think. Same in Logic. Faders to 0. There we go. Oh, look at the amount of clipping. Wow. By the way, the other two DAWs didn't say anything about the clipping and Reaper does. Like, Reaper is not perfect, but this is what I want to see. Wow. This is not soft clipping anymore. Oh my God. Look at these waveforms. This is completely zoomed out. Let's do the 32-bit later. And let's first, again, compare Pro Tools and Logic. And there we go. Let's do a volume adjustment on here so we can all hear what is going on. Oh, that's interesting. The horns are different. And we still have those clicks from like the difference in summing or difference in however it works, whatever it's doing. I think I want to check if I made a mistake there with gaining or something. That should be this stem then. That stem is at 0 dB, right? Yeah, I think it is. Interesting that only one stem is giving me this issue. While Pro Tools is reporting that it is the same. Yeah. That's weird. All right, let's see if there's a difference with a Reaper as well. Okay, and between Reaper and Pro Tools then? All right, so there is something going on in Pro Tools here. There is something going on in Pro Tools. There's something not right here. Let's reset all of our faders. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to re-import all these stems. I don't trust this anymore. I've been pulling on these faders and everything, so let's just do it like this. Like, let's just not touch anything here. And let's just export it like this, because I want to be double sure that I'm not like measuring something else. Just some other inconsistency in my testing. Because again, there are a million reasons why something doesn't null, but only one reason why something does null. And I want to make sure that I'm excluding most of those million reasons why something doesn't null. Bounce. Yes. There we go. Now, it's only giving us some whatever artifacts. Not really something that I think, if we see at the amount of level boosting that I have to do like 60 decibels, not something that I think that will give you a real difference in sound on the output. Let's listen to the 32-bit files. Yeah, same situation. Just some clicky stuff. Nothing special. Nothing, no sound difference. And the same with Reaper on 32-bit. Mind you, with a boost of like 60, 70 decibels. So nah, I don't believe it. This is just scientifically not correct. So yeah, when it comes to the information in that video, that's just simply scientifically seen not correct. This is a test that you can all reproduce. Like, you need to have the Logic and Pro Tools software. I already had Logic. I bought it a long time ago, and I just got like a monthly subscription to Pro Tools to test this out. Reaper has a free version, so you can do some shootouts between those and come up with your own conclusions and leave them in the comments down below with what you think, because I think this is an important discussion. From what I could test here, there's no difference between these DAWs. Let's just say there's no significant difference. These little ticks and clicks are not very important. It doesn't mean that there were ticks and clicks in one of these audio files. That's not what that means. I just want to make sure that you all understand that. These ticks and clicks are probably just different ways in which the sample rate conversion works or whatever, something that I don't really understand. But it's not a significant difference in sound of why you should choose a certain DAW over something else. Anyway, I think it's good that all these DAWs sound the same, because I think you should choose your DAW not really based on the sound. Like, and with these DAWs, there's no difference. I think you should choose your DAW based on what works for you. And this is multiple things going on here. So the first thing is workflow. The reason why I chose Reaper is because I can do custom scripting in here. What I built a long time ago is these type of scripts. Let me see if I can show you the script. Here it is. Simple scripts, but they are all connected to my Stream Deck. Oh, let me unplug it. My Stream Deck. And with my Stream Deck, I can control most of my DAW in the way that I want to control it. That's why I chose Reaper, so that I could customize it for my analog, hybrid analog workflow. Other people do more production or something, and they want a more musical DAW, and they choose for, I don't know, Logic, Ableton, whatever, maybe Pro Tools. And that's totally fine. Another reason is how you feel by working with a certain DAW. Feeling is very important. I know a big reason why people choose not to use Reaper is because it looks like a funeral. It's gray. There's no art and style in there. And I think I'm being misunderstood a lot of times when it comes to user interfaces, because yes, a user interface is allowed to be beautiful, but it has to be functionally beautiful. One of the reasons why studios are styled and look different and look cozy and all that kind of stuff is because we want to feel good while making music. Being in a good mental state makes better music. And a DAW is part of that. Pro Tools feels completely different compared to Logic and compared to Reaper. And I think that is what is going on in that original video. I think there's just a different feeling and vibe between these different DAWs. So I think that's what's going on. And yeah, just use a DAW that gets you to the finish line would be my advice. Like, whatever DAW makes you create great music is the correct DAW for you to use. And with that being said, I want to end the video over here. If you appreciate my videos, make sure to get some merchandise at ytshop.com. Also, check out my affiliate links. They'll also be in the description down below. Or become a channel member. It starts at 99 cents per month, but there's also an early access tier and an exclusive content tier, which I'm going to link over here. Last way to support me and the whole YouTube platform is watching more videos. Link in this video over here. Thanks for watching, keep pushing, and bye-bye.
99 cents a month, that's a deal for that kind of information.
Great information. All good stuff there. To me, the clicks and pops and all that stuff, that to me, that was like differences in the way they were dealing with the clipping, where, you know, it might have been the way the gate was handling it, or it might have been just the way, you know, however they were dealing with it at that point. It seemed like he was trying to keep it minimal on the channel strip and keep everything as much apples to apples as possible. But it seems like those differences could be chalked up to just differences in the way they're handling the tracks that are clipping.
Well, and likely during the conversion process that he was doing, you know, testing on the 32-bit side, and That's why he didn't turn dithering on in the first place.
It would have
Because
introduced more noise. Yeah.
it would have introduced. You can't really have a control subject at that point because dithering has a randomness to it. So every time you're doing a conversion, if you have dithering turned on, it's not going to be green apples against green apples anymore. It's going to be green apples with speckles and green apples with other speckles.
Yeah. Both different, but different in different ways.
But he really like tested it and then double tested it just to make sure. My kind of guy, like,
Yeah.
um, just to like see that Reaper. I'm glad that he brought that in as kind of the alternate subject here. Logic and Pro Tools on the Mac side, very much the same thing. They kind of work off the same engines, and the only difference is the price that you pay for those products. Reaper is a multi-platform application, and when you do bring applications like that over to the Mac side, they are a little different. If he had said that Reaper is different, sounds different than Logic and Pro Tools, that would have made more sense to me than Logic and Pro Tools sound different to each other.
And I do like the fact that he also brought up, the interfaces and, mentioned the way the interfaces look. And, they didn't have huge differences in the way they look, but there are enough of a difference where you can see, how the workflow would be different in each of them,
And he's absolutely right that when people choose their DAW and the experience you get out of it, the ease of assimilating to it, all of those things factor in. When we do our next DAW shootout night, he's coming back for sure because his opinion there, I feel is spot on. That like you don't pick your DAW for the sound. You pick your DAW for the flexibility and the the feeling you get while you're using it. And one thing I can say about the differences there when it comes to the interface, the ability to like bring up a plugin and scale the size of it, putting your console mixer mixed with your playback tracks on a single screen. Every one of those is a little different, and not all of them like can fit everything onto the same screen as conveniently.
Right. Now, another consideration is that sometimes it's a piece of hardware that you buy that comes with a license for for software. Whether it's
I'm
Studio
looking
One
at you, Ableton.
Ableton, exactly. So, that can influence your decision because it's like, oh, I could go get any DAW that's out there for free, or hey, they gave me this license for this one, so I can check it out and see how it works.
Yeah, and whether that DAW is cross-platform compatible, because there's not a lot of them that will work both on the Windows and Mac side seamlessly. Reaper is one of the exceptions. It'll work on Linux, Mac, or Windows, and it is the same DAW across all of them. The exception being Linux VST plugins. VST plugins that are specifically for Windows or Mac don't work in Linux without using Wine or some kind of emulator, in which case your mileage varies.
Right. Because you're adding a whole other layer of complexity to the whole situation.
Yeah, when you are dealing with Windows or Mac and you've got a cross-platform DAW like Reaper, assuming you've got the plugins on both sides, Mac plugins aren't the same as Windows. So assuming that you do have the Windows version and you send that Reaper project to somebody with a Mac, they have the Mac version of that plugin, your Reaper file is happy. It doesn't care which platform it's on.
Right. So it also comes down to which people you're going to be collaborating with and what platforms they use, especially if you're going to need to send files back and forth, because if you're going to have to do translating or, getting files, switched over every time you're going to try to do things back and forth, you might want to, double think again about which DAW you want to use together as a group.
Or let's say you got that studio deal and you're sending the studio your project files. You might want to be in the DAW that they're using. Otherwise, you might have to send them stems when you could have sent them the original source.
Yep.
And an engineer is going to appreciate the source files so that they can make adjustments on those VST plugins versus, okay, your stem, you already did it. I can't change anything on the plugin side at that point.
Yep. And then in a lot of cases, if you're sending something to a studio, I mean, they're going to want to re-record everything anyway, probably, right? In the studio themselves. So they're just looking for
Well,
a demo.
not necessarily in those cases, maybe, but nowadays, if the studio is doing like, say, the final engineering and the mastering, they may not be as like anal and say we want to re-record everything in the studio. If the person's halfway across the country, it's not always an option.
Sure. I would just think that studio stuff I would always picture as being in, coming from the studio there. Like they have the control of the recordings, they have control of the equipment to get everything in the best source they can.
They have control over their keyboards.
Sometimes. And sometimes the keyboards have control over them. But that's what happens.
But you are seeing a lot more virtual mixing going on with professional studios and artists that are doing the most of the work in their home studios, getting things like prepared and shipping them off to the studio. And if you can avoid the whole like stem transferring process, which isn't necessarily a bad thing to if you do have to do it, but when you are sending stems, the effects and things are baked into the track.
Right.
Whereas if you do give them a Logic file or a Pro Tools file or a Reaper file, and a good studio is going to have the plugins you use. You should be using plugins that like every studio would have access to.
Sure.
Otherwise, you got to render your track anyway because the studio doesn't have that plugin. So you've got to bake it in.
Hey, we're already at the point where we're talking to the studio. We're happy.
Yeah. We got a gig.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. I liked that discussion that he gets going there. That definitely fires me up to have another DAW night. Every once in a while we have to have a DAW night, like a shootout, and talk about all the ones out there because it keeps changing.
Yeah.
That landscape keeps changing. There's new ones that have come out in the last couple of years that are very interesting. And the tried and true ones, the Logics, the Pro Tools, now Reaper, I believe, is in that category. It has proven itself to compete with the big boys.
Yeah, for sure. And I've seen, again, when we see Jason and his workflow in Reaper, I mean, definitely you can do a lot very quickly once you're used to the workflow that's in there.
Yeah. He's the biggest influencer of mine wanting to go to Reaper because when I see him working in it and how quickly everything snaps, slides, and comes into place, I don't get that experience with Cakewalk.
Yeah.
And I love Cakewalk, but at the same time, there's certain things like that with the interface that drive me nuts.
Sure. And sometimes, whether it's whichever DAW it is, the tools might not be exactly where you want them, or, oh, I wish this was over here and I wish that was over there. Not everything is customizable in that way. When they are, that's great. When you could pull this panel out and put it over here and pull this panel out and put it over there. So you have things right where you want them, but not everything can be done that way. Yeah, so it's just a matter of getting the workflow down.
Most of the good ones have a docking system UI. Right. So, if you want something to be over here, you can just pull it out the dock, put it over where you want it, dock it again, and it sticks there. My true test is the console view. Like every DAW, the first thing I want to go look at is how does the console look? How does it look when I got 60 tracks? Because that's what I'm going to be looking at the most.
For sure. And how does it stack the effects so you can see them all, at a glance, what's on where? Yeah.
Yeah, I like to be able to see my effects chains nice and easy, and how the tracks kind of lay out. All of that factors in.
Indeed.
We're ready for another DAW shootout.
All right.
Especially since I might be switching in the next couple of months. Still testing out that free tier. My activation August 1st with Cakewalk by BandLab, that was the last activation. I'm hoping that Mike was right in 6 months from now. It'll last at least that long, but I'm starting to get ready just in case.
Yeah. It's important.
So
Gotta have something to work with.
White Sea Studio, glad to get this channel over to our feed. It's got a lot of useful stuff there, and this is just a snippet of it.
Did you notice what the shirt said that he was wearing?
Oh yeah. I didn't read the manual either. I never read the manual. If I got to read the manual, it's too complicated.
No, I see both sides of it. Like I never read the manual as a general principle, and like if I needed to jump in, like oh, I've got this thing and I don't have the manual, I have no problem just diving in and checking stuff out, like because I love doing that. But it's also useful. Like I will look through a manual just to be like, oh, I didn't even realize that it had this and this, and like check out a couple new features or whatever,
Yeah,
because that's always good.
I like my equipment I like to be able to dive into my equipment. So like when I buy a new keyboard, I don't go to the manual first. I get comfortable with what I can. And in that case, I might go to the manual afterwards just to get the fine-tuned information that you sometimes do have to read the manual.
Yeah. Or if you wanted to see, rather than having to scroll through 800 different sounds, you could flip through the manual and be like, oh, here's a table. Oh, okay, I can find, sound number 412 I want, sound number 568 I want. Oh, 715, that's going to be my new favorite.
Yep. And that I get the PDF of. And when it comes to my Rolands, I got a PDF for each one with the thousands of patches. And when I want to know which one is a French horn, I use the PDF search and find French.
Yeah. It's a good way to do it. Some of the PDFs that I had for sound stuff, like one was about the different frequencies, like showing you like the bass sounds over here, and going all the way up, and showing which instruments would find themselves in which realm, which you could kind of figure out just by thinking about it. But if it's a kick drum, it's going to be down here. If it's a bass guitar, it's going to be right here. If it's a guitar, it's going to be up in this range. If it's a singer, it's going to probably be over here. Figuring out the ranges and whether you'd want to boost to if it's too low, you can boost it, and if it's something that's clipping or it's too much, you bring it back down. Different adjustments you can make to the EQ to make things either stand out more or sit better in the mix. That kind of stuff too.
Yep. And that's just as useful if, like, say you're getting a mic and it comes with a diagram to show its dynamics, and you really want to know what that thing can do. Well, those little graphs and things come in handy with that equipment.
Exactly. Got to get to know your equipment, whether you're a dive-in type or a manual type, doesn't matter. Just figure it out your way and get in there. Don't be afraid to check it out.
Yeah, we got to know our audio interface. We got it plugged in. We figured out ASIO.
We even found the keyboard.
Yeah.
What do we got going on tomorrow?
We're going to be kind of looking back at the winter WAG as the summer WAG is gearing up. We just finished with the round ones Saturday night. The teams have already been told who their partners are for round two. They're waiting till Saturday night to find out what their genres are going to be, and a lot of them are like on pins and needles waiting.
Oh yeah, changes everything. I mean, that pick changes everything.
Yeah. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to start to roll those out, and Till then, we're going to take a flashback look at the winter series and get people cooled off so they can get warmed up.
All right. Going back to go forward.
Yep.
Sounds like a plan. And again, lots of freshy channels today. Good stuff.
Yeah, and this, I'm glad we finally got to some of this. ASIO has been one that I keep trying to explain it, but I'm not as good as these guys.
Well, again, it just comes down to, repetition sometimes even, hearing it from a number of different people in a number of different ways makes it sink in more over time. So that's why I would love watching when I was doing more music theory stuff, for example. I'd watch a video and I wouldn't understand maybe, 40% of it or whatever. Like a lot of it would be beyond what I had at that moment as music theory. But if I watched the video a bunch of times, months apart, all of a sudden different parts of the video would click at different times. And all of a sudden by, after several times through over the course of a year, like it all is, all making sense, even though most of it was out of reach at the time I first started watching it. Right. So it's a matter of just as you're building up that base of knowledge and watching watching videos like this, repeatedly, you end up getting a lot more absorption out of them.
Yeah. And hopefully I'm not that guy that's like, just do it this way. Don't ask.
Yeah. That's the thing too. Yeah. I'm always a big fan of trying from a different angle. Like even if I do hit a wall and something's not working at all, I'm a fan of the reboot thing, just to start fresh. And, it's always a good troubleshooting step when it comes to stuff like that. But, starting fresh, starting from the simplest scenario, and even just come up with other scenarios. Like, if something that doesn't seem like it's even related to the problem over here, but we'll test something over there. And then, okay, if we find a component that worked over there, we can bring it into the scenario here, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. I am not happy enough that like I got it to work. I need to know why I got it to work, how I got it to work.
Yeah.
And if it is broken, I need to know why it broke so that I do understand why I have to do this to fix it.
Yeah. And so that I know how to fix it next time faster. Yeah.
My dad's got an awesome set of tools.
He's a TV repairman.
I can fix it.
Good stuff.
Okay, so we'll see you guys tomorrow night with some WAG flashback, and we'll be back next Thursday to talk some more.
IT. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear, and 82. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac, and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much RAM. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn.